So, on the phone with one of the brokers I work with, because I have direct freight, and customer freight, and people I work with that they have their direct freight, so on and so forth. So all this different freight that I haul. But I have brokers I work with too, like your regular C.H. Robinson and so on and so forth. So I called one of them up this morning because I do some stuff that, I can probably explain to y'all on another video, and how to kind of finagle freight and get it picked up when you want it picked up and get it delivered when you want it delivered. So I'm on the phone with him, and I haven't talked to him. He's like the manager of the other brokers I work with. Well, other guy I work with. And this dude, I say to him, I was like, yo, I put in bids on loads. I said I kind of put them high because I want to come back to them later, because let's say it's a load that they got it online for like 1,000, and I'll be like, yo, I'll do it for 5,000, or let's just say 3,000. I won't go that high, but I'll go high. And I really do that so it stays locked in on my system and I can come back to it later. And a lot of times they'll come back with a rate, and I kind of see where they want to, what they're willing to pay for the load, where their margin is. Sometimes their margin is like, it'll work, like, oh, that'll work, I'll make it work. Sometimes I can't, I can't get them to come where I want them to come on a load. But anyways, I told him, I said, the loads I haul for people that go from here to here or from here to here, I'm like, they're, because what he said before I got into that was, I said, I'm putting those high ass rates, and he goes, yeah, I see them all the time. I'm like, yeah, he's like, I was like, I put those in so I come back to him, and he was like, he's like, yeah, everything you put in is really high, and you're way off base, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, it's freight. What do you mean? He's like, oh, you're way off base. And I said, well, look, the customers I haul with, their rates have been the same through peaks, through lows, all of it for years. Their rates have been the same. Now the difference is I have fuel surcharge in my rate that when I work with these people, so it goes up and down with the fuel. And so I'm like telling him, you want to give me a load going somewhere, let's just say Atlanta to Orlando. They want to give you $1,300 for it, and I'm like, that's a $1,800 lane, no matter what. Like, I mean, you can get more than that, but that's an $1,800 lane. It's been that way for years, And he's like, oh, well, your customers are overpaying you, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wait a minute. How's my customers overpaying me? It's freight. If someone makes something, it's only thing you can do is cost more money, not get cheaper. Nothing ever gets cheaper. Nothing we buy gets cheaper. If you went and bought a Pioneer radio for $50 years ago, it's not going to go out and become next year. You're going to come out and get that same radio for $30 unless it's an old version of that radio. Same thing with food. Milk is milk. It's going to cost this. It's crazy how this is like I said, this is like a manager. This is not. He's been doing this for years. I've been working with him, not directly with him, but he's been their manager for, man, at least 7 years. At least I've been dealing with, that branch. I actually really want to switch over from dealing with them to dealing with some other people. My boy Willie hooked me up with another guy over there that I should start working with over there. But yeah, the mindset of these guys sometimes, how you gonna say somebody is overpaying you? Like, fuel ain't cheap. you know? Insurance ain't cheap. Repairs, the hours of repair went from $80 an hour for a repair to $180 an hour to get something repaired. So I just don't understand that mindset of you're getting overpaid. That's just crazy, you know? People work hard for the things that they have, and it's not to make just enough money, you know? Like, we're out here sacrificing to make sure our families are good, we're good, our equipment's good. I mean, hell, don't you want your freight to get from point A to point B? You know, it's crazy that every couple years we go through this cycle of freight paying really good, freight paying really crappy, and it gets to a point where, you know, the guys that live off these low boards can't survive because they're getting freight at it, you know, such a low rate. And it doesn't help. Normally when this happens, fuel doesn't get as high as it had been, you know, but fuel still isn't cheap. It's went down a lot, but it's still not cheap. So our operation costs are still up there, you know. So the ideal of somebody getting overpaid for something, I don't think these guys really understand what it costs to do 10 miles in a truck, you know. Hell, they think, you know, for the way they look at it is if you grab a load and you go 700 miles and you pick it up today and you deliver it tomorrow, they look at it as, you know, we gave you $1,000 to do that load, that's 700 miles. Oh, you still made $1,000. Look at all the money you made. I don't think they really understand that truck made absolutely no money. You know, 700 miles for $1,000. They just look at that. They see the dollar amount. They think they did you a good deed. You know, you made $1,000. Like, I didn't make $1,000, buddy. Even if you gave me $1,500, I still didn't make $1,000. You know, so on 700 miles. Yeah. So just a rant. You know, it just really kind of irritated me. And people, if you're out there, don't haul cheap freight. Learn how to network. Talk to people, ask people questions. You know, I get people all the time coming up to me asking me about freight. It's a start, but the main thing is knowing your area, man. Know what's busy in your area. You know, if you got a reefer trailer in the middle of New Mexico, may not be the best thing to haul, you know, as reefer. You might have to do something else, or, you know, get connected with somebody that, you know, hauls freight out of that area with a reefer. All I'm saying is know your lanes, know your areas, know what's good in your area, and know where your money is. You know, like I know I made a lot of money in Chicago area when I was living up in Wisconsin hauling containers. Even though Wisconsin is a place where you pretty much can make as much money as you want hauling any trailer you want because it's a production state. So you just got to know your areas, man. So that's all, man. I just wanted to get it off my chest. That broker really angered me today, man. My old girl, I'm gonna try to clean it up some more today, and we're gonna go visit my boy. All right, y'all have a good one.